the four components of a long-term strategy are your advertising strategy, your organic strategy, your click-through rate optimization strategy, and your conversion rate optimization strategy. And your goal is to have a strategy, a year-long strategy at least, for all four of these.
Lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou, lunch with Lou.
Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and FBA podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about how to set up long-term PPC strategies, and we're going to do it step by step. Also, we're going to be talking about seller guidelines for someone who is just starting out using PPC campaigns, how you can develop a long-term strategy, and recommendations to sellers who are bleeding money. And we know what that feels like. Anyways, welcome to another Lunch with Norm podcast, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Okay, like I said, we're going to have a good episode today talking about setting up long-term PPC strategies. It's going to be a step-by-step walkthrough. And our guest today, multiple returning repeat guest, and he is the founder and CEO of MMA Nutrition, LLC. I almost think I should be doing my Bruce Buffer voice when I'm introducing him. Anyways, with his experience he's gained over the growing his supplement business, he founded the PPC University, where he's head instructor in two highly successful Amazon brands. He also is the founder of Trivium Group, an agency dedicated to helping brands scale profitably on Amazon. And I am talking about Mina Elias. We'll get to him in a second, but first, a word from our sponsor. Launching products isn't like it used to be. To successfully launch your product, you need to hit that algorithm from all sides. Driving external sales, boosting social signals, and increasing product listing engagement are fundamental to success. Rebate is the first and only launch platform that delivers across this broad range. Get your product featured on Amazon.live through Rebate's influencer program. With this service, your product gets instant exposure to large audiences of shoppers and permanent placement on Amazon Influencer Storefront, which drives perpetual sales. Run a sweepstakes campaign on Rebate and connect with shoppers off Amazon. And lastly, drive external sales with tried and true deals campaigns. Visit rebate.com today and get started with your 14-day free trial. And enjoy the episode. Welcome, sir. How are you, sir?
Norm, very excited to be back. This is, I think, my third time back.
Yes.
But I've yet to have lunch with you. So we have to fix that.
At one of these events.
One of these events, yeah. Lunch with Norm, but we've never had lunch. We have to change that.
Exactly. That'll be awesome.
Awesome. How are you doing today?
Very good. Very excited to talk to you. I always like having you on the podcast because you always come just with a ton of knowledge. So I'm looking forward to this because we are going to be talking about long-term strategies, which, a lot of people don't talk about. So why don't we just get into it? Because I know you have a short amount of time with us today.
Yeah, let's jump right in. So what does a long-term PPC strategy look like? For me, we take on a lot of different brands, and the first thing I have to do when we take over a brand, besides like, okay, let's jump in, let's clean up everything that's wrong with it, and I'll cover all the details of like the cleanup and stuff like that. But the next thing is, how do we set a 90-day, 180-day, 360-day sort of plan, like a very long-term plan, and not just day by day, week by week. And so I'll walk us through the phases of, you're looking at your brand right now and you're listening to this podcast. You want to go and do some cleanup. You want to implement some tracking. And then you want to, plan out what you want to do, right? The different phases. And you'll hear me talk about the bulking and the cutting phases. And I'll talk about how long you should do each, how to incorporate organic into that equation. And then the thing that no PPC agency I feel talks about, no PPC experts talk about, is click-through rate and conversion rate optimization. And I don't know why, because that is very directly related to your entire advertising performance. And so To give an overview of the funnel, the way that it looks, the way that it works is we are launching campaigns, we're launching ads campaigns, and then we're getting impressions. Impressions is the number of times people are seeing us, or we're loading on the page. They could maybe not even see us, but we might be in the bottom right of the page. We load it up, that's an impression. And out of those impressions, that's the biggest, widest part of the funnel. A certain number of them turn into clicks, which is leads into people coming into the listing, which is sessions. So between impressions and clicks, that's a click-through rate. And that factor will determine how many of those impressions turn into clicks. And then between the click-through rate, like there, and the clicks that come in, and there's a certain number of them that are unique sessions. Now, if you're cannibalizing a lot, your PPC and organic is being cannibalized. You're using sponsored brand and you're using regular sponsor products, and that there's cannibalization there. You'll have a lesser amount of sessions. So you could have 500 clicks and only 100 sessions, or if you're tighter, you could have 500 clicks and then 500 sessions. So it depends on that. Again, sessions include organic. But you can, sort of tell, because if you drop your ad spend, and I'll cover the cannibalization portion in a second, but if you drop your ad spend on like certain, let's say, like ranked number 1 sponsored and organic, and you drop the spend in sponsored, maintain the organic, and it's the same number of sessions with lower clicks because they're advertising clicks, you should see that ratio improve because it's the same people coming into the listing. And then out of those sessions, a certain number of them convert into sales, and that's the conversion rate. So the funnel is impressions. A click-through rate will determine the number of clicks. How tight you are with your advertising will determine the number of sessions, and your conversion rate will determine the number of conversions or number of sales that you're making. And so that's the full funnel. And as someone who's managing advertising, I have to touch all of it. So I can't say like, yeah, we're running ads and increase the number of sessions, but realize that the click-through rate is so low that people aren't coming in, and just say, yeah, okay, well, I'm doing my job, we're running ads. So it doesn't work like that, because you're gonna stop growing at a certain point, because you're spending more and more money, or you're launching more and more campaigns, but out of the million sessions that you're getting, why don't you try and get more clicks out of them? And so, and it's the same with the conversion rate. I can't just be sending more and more people to my listing. They look at the image, they look at the price, they like it, they come in, and they're like, they start, looking at the other images, they look at the questions, they look at a video, and they're like, I'm not really convinced. I still have questions. And honestly, this other one seems like it's better. And so part of my job, if I'm advertising, is to also improve your conversion rate, because as I send that traffic in, more of it is gonna get clicked on, and then more is gonna convert. And so whenever you're coming up with a long-term strategy, you need to incorporate your PPC strategy, which is just directly the ads. You need to incorporate your organic strategy, which is, don't just use PPC and neglect organic. You need to have a click-through rate strategy, and you need to have a conversion rate strategy. And we say click-through rate, conversion rate, I mean like optimization, improving click-through rate and improving conversion rate. And that's how you can set a nice long-term strategy. Now, this is just kind of the very broad first layer. I'll talk about, I'll let you ask some questions, but I'll talk about, the different phases of PPC. So we have these 4 different segments. PPC, I'll start talking about cleanup, and then from cleanup, determining what I should be doing. And then after that, is it like scale or optimize? If it's scale, go for it. If it's optimize, go for it. How long I should maintain that phase, how to evaluate when that phase is over, when the next phase starts, and then having some targets, and being like, okay, for organic, and being like, okay, I'm going after these targets, and having a strategy incorporated in there for the bulking phases, so you can improve your organic rank. And so that's kind of like a summary of today's topic.
Okay, so let's just go through that again. So, and this will make a really nice snippet too. So, what are the 4 phases of long-term strategy?
Okay, so the 4 phases or not the 4 phases, but the 4 components of a long-term strategy are your advertising strategy, your organic strategy, your click-through rate optimization strategy, and your conversion rate optimization strategy. And your goal is to have a strategy, a year-long strategy at least, for all 4 of these, very carefully planned and scheduled. Now, you don't have to have all of your all of your click-through rate experiments scheduled a year out, but you need to know that you have a schedule. And so let's say you have at least 3 months scheduled out, and as you approach and you have 1 month left, you're like, okay, maybe it's time to schedule out another 3 months worth of tests. Same for conversion rate. And then with the PPC, what your strategy should look forward, so you already know, when I hit this point, then I'm moving into this phase. So phase number 1, cleaning up. Phase number 2, maybe optimizing for profit, if that's the right phase, and I'll explain how to determine it. Phase number 3, scale. Once we hit that the plateau in the scale, how to detect it, and then move back to phase 2, which is the optimization again, and then go back and forth between them. And then in parallel to that, where am I scheduling my organic where am I scheduling like my organic sort of like plan? So during the scaling phase, I want to go after these keywords. I'm also tracking organic rank. I'm also tracking market tracker to see how much % of the market I'm gaining. And so these are all of the things. There's also competitive analysis that I'll talk about, but these are all things that you should incorporate in your long-term ads, Amazon PPC strategy. Now, people might be like, this sounds like more than just PPC. It sounds like PPC and listing optimization. I mean, it goes hand in hand, right? Because I'm sending people to the listing, and then what? Or PPC is I'm showing the listing in the search results, and then what? And so thinking about one and not the other, or thinking that listing optimization is a one-time thing, is a very sort of false, kind of way to look at it. I talk to Facebook advertisers a lot, just because they're my friends, and they say that the average creative on Facebook lasts 1 day. That's it. So every single day you need to switch your creatives, because people are getting fatigued from it. So they have like a click-through rate optimization strategy every single day, because they know, okay, we're gonna do like a nice image or a nice video, and then we expect that video is not going to work anymore, so we need to maybe change the hook here. We need to do that. Now, obviously with Amazon, we're limited to what we can do, but this also kind of inspires me to be like, well, if they're testing so aggressively to always be better, why aren't we? We should be. Yeah, I mean, we have everything that we need, and I'll explain how to do it too. And then same with the conversion rate. D2C marketers, they're always split testing landing pages, and sometimes they have like different landing pages for different sources. The people coming from YouTube see a different page than the people coming from Facebook,
right?
And I'm assuming, like, because this is like the e-commerce and FBA podcast, so people will also like to kind of see the two things. Sorry, Norm, I was sharing your video and something popped up. Okay, so let's jump in. I'm gonna start with the PPC, then I'm gonna move to organic, then I'll move to click-through rate, then I'll move to conversion rate. And feel free to stop me so I can take a breath and you can ask questions.
Back. I'm just
okay.
Listening.
I love it. So starting with PPC, here's like step by step. We take on a brand. The first thing we have to do is clean everything up. And so we are starting from a solid base. So what does cleaning up things mean? Number one, we have a portfolio for each parent product. So if you have a parent product, multiple child variations, what we notice is you're going to advertise to different children. It's all going to go into the same listing, and people are going to, click and buy. So we like to keep everything in the same portfolio. Even if you're going to advertise separate children separately, we'll make the distinction in the name, but we keep all the parents together, so I can look at a parent product's performance very easily all at once.
So parent-child variations under one portfolio.
One portfolio. Then we move on to campaign names. Campaign names, the way I like to do it is you're going to have your product code. So this is where, if you want to separate by child variation, you can do it very easily. So let's say I have the mango pineapple and the blue raspberry flavors. I can do HMP, which is hard work mango pineapple, and HBR, hard work blue raz, and that'll be the first code in the name, and I can do a very quick search if I want to isolate children. But again, I do not recommend you isolate children, except for what I'm going to talk about in a second, for how to determine which variation is better, because you can have one child with a lot of clicks, very low ROAS, it's not performing well, but it's actually driving traffic, and they're buying the other flavors. And so you might not want to be, oh, this variation is bad, let's kill it. It could just be like this variation brings people initially, but they want to buy another one. The portfolio next is campaign names. So the product code, space dash space, what type of campaign is it? Is it sponsored product, sponsored brand, or sponsored display? So SP, SB, or SD, space dash space, and then the type of campaign. So close match, loose match, complements, substitutes, broad, phrase exact, category targeting, product targeting, video, sponsored video, or headline search ad, HSA. We call it SV or HSA, sponsored video or headline search ad. So then you're saying that what the type of the campaign is. Then you're saying what's the purpose of this campaign. Is it a ranking campaign? Is it like profitability? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Put the reason that you have this campaign. If there's no reason, you can skip it. But if there's a reason, like this is a ranking campaign, put ranking, so you don't see, oh my god, the ACOS is 85%, but then you remember, oh yeah, it's ranking. But if it's named like something weird that you can't tell, then it's going to be hard for you to remember that. Then space dash space, where you got the keywords. This is just to prevent you from continuing to harvest keywords from a bad source. And then at the end, like if there's a lot of campaigns with the same exact name, because I'm limiting campaigns to 5 keywords per campaign, then you can have a number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't matter. And so after the campaign names, the next thing I go look at, and I'm going to talk about like the cleanup first of like the things that are going to reduce the spend, and
Yep.
then I'm going to talk about the things that, okay, low hanging fruit. So next I go into the campaign and I see if there's multiple ad groups. If there's multiple ad groups, that's immediately a red flag, because I cannot control where the money goes. It could go flow down and go 80% to one ad group, 20% to another ad group. So I want to clean that up. The way that I do that is anything that's not working, spending money, no sales, or very high ACOS, pause it. And I'll restart it in its own campaign. If anything is making money, keep it, because we don't want to kill a money maker. And try and eliminate as much as possible from the ad group. And then, you understand that your focus is probably going to be on one of the 2 ad groups. So the one that's less performing, you're going to pause everything that doesn't work. And if there's a couple of things that are working, keep it. Later on in the future, once you're scaling, you could potentially test, pausing those keywords, losing the history, but launching them in their own campaigns. They'll get a much bigger budget and see that might do better, but you have to do it carefully. So after that, I'm also looking at placements. So since I'm already in the campaign, I'm going to look at the placements, click on that. If I had set a bid by placement, like 50%, 70%, 100% for top of search, whatever, or product pages, I look at the ROAS. Is the ROAS better? Is there more clicks and more sales, for that placement? If the answer is no, I want to remove that because it's not working and bring it to 0. Then once I'm in the ad groups, I'm going to look at the number of keywords. If there's a lot of keywords, anything above 5, in my opinion, I'm trying to trim as much as possible. So obviously the easy, lowest hanging fruit, anything that's spending money on not making sales, pause it. Anything that's very high ACOS, consider pausing it, and then leave everything that's making money. Later on, we can come back and revisit. And again, the maybe you have 15 keywords that are making money, but the bottom 8 made 1 sale in the last 30 days. So you're like, okay, I'm willing to pause it and put it in its own campaign, because I'm going to lose 1 sale in 30 days, but I might get 10 in this other
Right.
one. And then I go into the search term report. I download the search term report, last 30, 45 days, whatever. This is someone that's not optimizing regularly. And I'll go and identify all of the keywords in auto broaden phrase. So I'll create, highlight everything, sort and filter, create a filter for the targeting type, the match type, and it'll be only for auto broaden phrase. Exact and product targeting, I can control the bids, so no need. Just for auto broaden phrase, where there's multiple search terms per 1 keyword, I'm going to identify the search terms that are spending money and not generating sales or very high ACOS. So for me, anything that would be like above a 90% ACOS would be kind of pretty high. So I would add that as a negative. And then I have a $30 product. And so anything that spent $15 and didn't make a sale, if it spends $16 and it makes a sale, it's still like over 50% ACOS. So I'm willing to just add that as a negative. So, and this is very ad group specific. So you're not going to see a keyword that performed bad in one campaign and add it as a negative in all campaigns. This is just a keyword that performed badly in one ad group. You're going to take it and add it negative in that ad group.
And that's pretty important.
Very important, because we can have 2 different keywords, but they trigger the same search term because it's broad, and then one performs really well in this ad group, the other one performs horrible. But why would you kill both? So now we're pretty much done with all of the things that we can drop ad spend and maintain sales as much as possible. This will help increase the ROAS and improve the ACOS. Then the next thing is, what are a couple of low-hanging fruits that we can immediately do in terms of like growing? If you have a campaign that has a really good ACOS and it has a low budget, like a $50, $20, $10, whatever, anything under $100, consider scaling that budget to 200, 300, 400. Even if you're not reaching that $50 budget, you'll notice, you could have a $50 budget and then a $30 spend. If you go to a $150 budget, it might go to 80, even though it wasn't hitting the 50 and it wasn't running out of budget. Amazon sees, oh, there's more room to spend, let's give it more impressions. I don't know why it does that. It should hypothetically just run up until it runs out of money, but Amazon has its algorithm and we're just reacting to the way the algorithm is built. So that covers that. And then, yeah, I think at that point we're pretty cleaned up. Oh, there's also the search term report identifying all of the profitable search terms. So going in, finding, let's say, any search term that had 2 sales or more, with a ACOS of like 30% or less, 25% or less, extract that. If we're not already targeting it in a certain match type, let's run it in those match types. But I usually reserve that for the scaling phase. But okay, now that I'm in this phase, right, I've cleaned everything up and we're starting from a very solid background. One more thing that I have to check is which child variation is performing best. So you can do this 2 ways. The first way, the easy way, go into each campaign and then click on the ad group, and then the first tab on the top left, like it'll be like ads and then search terms, whatever, targeting. The first thing is going to be ads, and you'll see your different ASINs. Just quickly view the different ASINs and see which one is performing the best, which one has the best click-through rate, which one has the best, is bringing the most sales. The one usually I want to advertise the one with the best click-through rate, because that one is going to bring in the most amount of people. But you also don't want to mistake the best click-through rate because it has the lowest traffic. So it has to have some decent amount of traffic. If you're like, this one has a really good click-through rate, this other one has way more sales and a worse click-through rate, you can always test pausing the one with the good sales and then testing the other one. But again, I would try and test it in like a little bit of an isolated way, and see like if I switch to that higher click-through rate ASIN, lower sales, will I get more clicks and more sales in the listing? So you want to do kind of a test. The other way is to download the advertised product report. Go in there and you're going to create a pivot table. It's very simple. The things that you're going to show in rows are going to be the different child ASINs, and then in columns there's going to be clicks and then impressions and then spend and sales. And then you manually can calculate, clicks divided by impressions is your click-through rate, and then spend divided by your sales is your ACOS. And you can see which ASIN has the best click-through rate and the best ACOS, and with the most sales also. So, and then you have to make a judgment call. Which one do I want to push the most? But generally, unless it's a keyword that's very specific, like, blue raspberry electrolytes, obviously I'm not going to advertise the mango pineapple one. So unless it's like a child variation specific keyword, try and push the one that performs the best, because all you want to do is advertise the one that's most likely to bring the traffic into the listing. And then once it comes in, people will choose the one they like the most anyways. But you're just trying to get, like, since you're throwing bait in the water, what's the bait that's most likely to hook the most amount of people? Even if like there's another bait that's going to work a little bit better for this very small segment of fish, we're willing to go with the one that will work better most of the time. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does. And just before we go on any further, It's got the right idea. We're going to have a Wheel of Kelsey today. It's hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. Tag 2 people and you'll get a second entry. Why don't we talk about what people are going to get today? It's an awesome giveaway.
Yes. So at the end, we are going to give away to one person a 45-minute audit consultation. So basically, it's a 45-minute consultation, over video, where we're going to go into every single piece, everything that I'm talking about right now, the whole cleanup stuff. We're going to go to every piece of your ads campaign and your listing, everything, and say, here's how you can improve this, here's how you can improve this, and we'll give you everything so you can actually implement it yourself. You don't need to hire us or anything like that. It's all just straight value, and you can go implement it. We're going to do a data dive and identify which organic keywords you should be ranking for, do all of that stuff. Maybe jump into the search term query report as well.
That's awesome. So if you like what you're hearing today, and these are all nuggets, so this is what Mina always brings to the podcast. So if you like what you hear, just imagine what you'd have on this 44 or 45. Well, you maybe 44 or 46, maybe. But 45, let's average it out. 45-minute consult. And, I think it'll just be a tremendous asset to your PPC campaigns. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry. And Kelsey, let's go to a sponsor. I want to thank Jeff Schick Legal for sponsoring this episode of Lunch with Norm. You've probably heard on the podcast about Amazon suspensions. They're very real. It can happen at any time. And when it does happen, how do you get out of it? How does the little guy like you and me get out of these suspensions without paying an arm and a leg in legal fees? This is where Jeff Schick Legal is here to help. For a very low monthly retainer, for only $89, get access to Amazon attorney Jeff Schick. That's right. You can sit back, relax, enjoy that cup of coffee while listening to the Lunch with Norm podcast, knowing that you have an advocate and a partner in your business success. But wait, just mention Lunch with Norm and receive 50% off the first 2 months. Get the protection you need and visit jeffschick.com today. That's JEFFSCHICK.com. Now let's get back to the show. I just want to mention this. I've had probably at least 4 people reach out over the last couple of weeks talking about legal issues with Amazon. And Jeff Schick, although he's a sponsor, I'd say this anyways, for $89 a month, it's a crazy value, because if you ever have to deal with somebody who deals with these types of legal issues, you pay. And it doesn't matter with Jeff's service. And this is why I really liked when he was talking to me last year in Mexico, that it's $89. You've got a lawyer like on retention, it's a retained lawyer, and it's just a subscription fee. So I don't know anybody else who has that business model. I just loved it. And so I approached him to be a sponsor on the podcast. So consider it when you do have some legal issues come up. It's like $89. So anyways, let's get back into it.
All right, let's get back.
And I'm just going to get back into my,
you're relaxing.
There we go.
Mode.
Go ahead.
I'll do the hard work. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You already did all the hard work by making this podcast. So, okay. So now we're at this phase where we've cleaned everything up. We've identified the child variations that work better. Now it's okay. Do I scale or do I optimize? Because there's only 2 directions you can go. You can either scale your campaigns, spend more money, get more traffic, reinvest some of the profits, or you can try and become more and more lean and get more profits. In my opinion, the first thing I would look at is how much are you spending right now, and can you actually bring that number down? So if you're spending $100 a day, $200 a day, okay, like how much are you going to save? 50, 60 bucks, right? That's how much you're going to add to your bottom line. So if it's not that much, then you probably only have one direction, which is you need to scale. You need to get that revenue up. You need to get that spend up. And because when you go from spending 200 a day, making 1,000 a day, to spending 500 a day, making 2,000 a day, and then you cut that back down, that 500 to maybe 400, 350. Now you have a lot more profit because you increased your revenue and you shaved some of the inefficient stuff. But if you're at 200 a day, you're gonna go down to 150. Okay, great, you saved 50 bucks. You can't go to zero because you're gonna lose your sales. So that would be the first kind of indication. The second indication is, as you're cleaning things up, do you feel like you've plateaued on how much you can clean things up, or is there more? And if you feel like you haven't plateaued, if you keep doing this stuff and you see that your profit's going up, and I'm going to touch on like the tracking, that's a big one. I even forgot about it. But if you see that your profits are going up, then keep going. keep optimizing until you hit that plateau and you're like, okay, we've maxed out on our profits now, because it's like a curve, right? It's like more profit, and then you hit like a, you know, an inflection point, and it's like less profit, because you're starting to cut down, spend too much. And so those are the two things to determine, is it time to move out of a profitability phase or not, or is it time to, you know, be in a profitability phase or not. And before all of that, obviously the very most important part is tracking everything, tracking your analytics. If you're tracking stuff in Campaign Manager, I have news for you. You are not going to do a great job. If you're tracking stuff that, like, if you want to track, I have a template that I'll share with everyone. It's an analytics template, but the way that you want to view things is in week chunks, week over week, with totals, right? So you can average 7 days and always the same 7 days, to take into account, like, you know, weekly fluctuations, Monday being better than like Thursday, whatever, something like that. What I'm tracking is PPC spend, PPC sales, total sales, sessions, you know, impressions actually, then sessions, clicks, click-through rate, unit session percentage, which is conversion rate, the cost per session, so how much it cost me to drive one person to the listing, drive traffic into the listing, and then sale price, Amazon fees, cost of goods, so I can calculate the profit. Now, my profit calculation is very simple. It's my sale price minus my Amazon fees minus my cost of goods sold. So if I have a $20 product, $5 Amazon fees, $5 cost of the manufacturing, that will be $10 net profit. I take that, you know, $10 before advertising, multiply it by the number of units sold. So if I sold 5 units today, that's $10 in profit times 5 is 50. And then I take away, PPC spend, and I'm left with, you know, the net profit after advertising. Now, this is not the most accurate calculation, because there's reimbursements, there's discounts, there's all of that stuff. I use my real profit, and we have our own Trivium dashboard. You can only get it through Trivium because it's intellectual property, and you can have that. If you want to do it yourself, I'm going to give you the template. You can log the numbers in every day. If you want them to automate it for you, it's beautifully automated, and you can see week over week how everything is performing on a product level and on a, you know, whole account level. And the reason that you need to do this is, as you're planning these things, as you're planning, you know, your different phases, you need to track. You need to track for different things. And when we're optimizing for profit, we're tracking: can I drop my PPC spend, maintain my sessions as much as possible, maintain my revenue, drop my cost per session, increase my conversion rate, and ultimately increase profits. So I need a very good profit tracker. Now, if I'm scaling, what I'm looking for is to increase PPC spend, increase sessions. I know my cost per session will go up. I know my conversion rate might go down a little bit, but I want to increase revenue. And then I know my profit will go down, because I'm not going to be efficient, because I'm testing a lot of different things. And it's impossible to be, you know, very efficient and test new things, because you don't know. You can't predict the future. No matter how much you try to use your brain, you can be like, oh my God, like sugar-free electrolyte powder, that's exactly my product. Well, guess what? It has a 92% ACOS. That's that, you know, that's how life is. And so, that's kind of why we need to track everything. So once you have your tracking, you go into the after the cleanup, you say, okay, I think we should do a profitability phase. You go into the profitability phase. When do you end the profitability phase? Is right after you feel like your profits are plateauing, or you end it if you feel like my ad spend is too low already. There's not much I can do. I can't drop from 200 to 100. I'm going to lose sales. Then you go into a scaling phase. So what does a scaling phase look like? Launching new campaigns, identifying profitable search terms from the search term report, launching them in their own campaigns if we're not already targeting them, increasing bids, increasing budgets, increasing like bid by placement, so top of search, first page, product pages, launching maybe different types of ads. But if you're going to launch a different type of ad, like a sponsored video or a headline search ad, make sure that you are not doing it where you have high organic and high sponsored, because it defeats the purpose. You're already, high there. Why don't you put it somewhere where you're maybe on page 3?
Makes
Test
sense.
if a video converts better. You want new traffic. And so those are the actions that we're taking during a scaling phase. When do you end the scaling phase? Well, number one, you're limited by how much profit you want to lose as you scale. And so as you increase your spend, you will increase revenue if you're doing everything right, but you'll also lose profit. So how long and how much can you lose profit for, and are you continuing to see traction? So is your revenue going up still, or does it start to plateau? Keep in mind, you might scale, and in the first week, the revenue stays flat. It takes about a week for things to get moving. And then I don't know why, this is always what I see. It takes about a week. And then in the second week, we start noticing that the revenue goes up and organic rank goes up and all of that kind of stuff. And once we again notice that, okay, we can't take this loss anymore in terms of profits. And you should be able to take the loss in profits at least for 3 weeks. If you can't, scale a little bit more gently, but you can't just scale for 3 days and then optimize.
It's gonna happen, right? It's not if, it's when. It's gonna happen.
Exactly. And then that's how I would determine when my scaling phase ends. Now, the one thing I want to add on top of here is this is when you want to schedule your organic ranking strategies, because as you're scaling, this increase in spend in PPC is getting you more conversions per keyword, and that's really helping. That's a very good time to add some organic strategy, because it's going to be synergistic. You don't want to be trying to optimize for profit and at the same time trying to spend not profitably on an organic keyword so you can get its rank up. Your profits are gonna be like, oh, I'm improving. No, I'm not doing well, right? Because in one stage you're okay, we're trying to maximize and get more profits. At the other one, it's like, let's spend money, so increase organic rank. So how do I plan out my organic? It's gonna be planned at the same time as the scale, and you can run a data dive. It's very, very easy. You can go pull your top competitors and then it's gonna give you all of the keywords with relevancy, with search volume. The ones that you're ranking low for, maybe all your competitors are position 1 to 20 and you're position 60 to 80. And I would start with the relevant ones that you have a low rank on, that have an average 1 to 5,000 searches a month, because you can do 2 of those. They're going to be easier, and then as you rack them up, your listing gets more and more relevance, and you're able to rank easier for the bigger ones. So don't go for the big fish right away. You can if you want to, but go for the smaller ones. I want you to create a sheet, and in that sheet, it's going to have the date, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, whatever, or whatever the dates are, the different keywords on the top. And then under that, under as column headers, you'll have the PPC spend, the click-through rate, and the organic rank. And you want to start creating campaigns. I like to go for broad, phrase, and exact, all targeting types, even though the broad is not going to generate the best kind of results. But because I'm targeting different but related keywords, it kind of, I see some synergy there. And if you're going to do multiple keywords to rank for organically, you can also, do 2 keywords that are pretty similar, because they'll help each other rank. And I'm tracking my spend. I want to see my spend go up for that keyword. I want to see my click-through rate not tank, because if my click-through rate is tanking, there is an issue. Maybe people don't think this is relevant. Maybe I need to change one of my main images, or one of my second images or something, to include something that tells people, yeah, this product is more relevant for you. And then I'm tracking my organic rank, and I want to see my organic rank go up. Eventually, it's going to plateau. And at that plateau point, you want to maintain your spend for about 30 days. I know, sounds crazy, right? But if you do maintain it for 30 days and the click-through rate is decent, your organic rank will really solidify there. And when you start scaling down your PPC, you'll see that your organic rank holds. Again, this is the dream. This is ideal scenario. It's not always like that. Every case is different. Every product, every keyword is different. But I'm giving you kind of what to look for. So when you're doing this experiment, you are informed, you're intelligent, you know how to do this organic ranking strategy and understand exactly what you need to look for. And that's pretty much, the organic side of it and the PPC side of it. And you're going through these phases and you're planning them out. You're like, okay, I need to get to this amount of spend to generate this amount of sales. And you're planning your scale optimize until you hit there, and your profits are going up over time. And at the same time, you're capitalizing on organic at the same time.
So, Mina, I know you've got something at 12:50 today, which gives
Yeah.
us 5 minutes to answer 7 questions, which is not going to happen. Is it possible? Could you take a look at the questions if Kelsey sent them over to you?
Yeah.
And you could just let us know, like even on video, and then we'll transcribe it into our group because
Perfect.
all
I
of
can
these
I can
questions are
rapid
important.
fire those if you want.
Okay, let's rapid fire. If you've got, it's literally 5 minutes.
Oh, I got it. Okay. How many clicks and sales before negative exact the keyword? And is there a relation formula between the decision and conversion rate of that keyword? I don't look at conversion rate for the keyword. What I choose to do is say, after $1 more in spending and no sale and get a sale, what's my like maximum ACOS tolerance? So if my maximum ACOS tolerance is 50% and I have a $30 product, I can spend $15, which is 50% with no sales. And then after that, I'm adding it as a negative. That's my equation.
Got it.
Second one, I have a broad with about 15 targets. Of course, NOK, I don't know what that means. What would be the best way to clean it up? And would you do it the right with a single or just a few keywords? Okay, go into that campaign, sort by sales, largest to smallest. Anything that's spending money, not making sales, or at the bottom making 1 or 2 sales, not profitably, or making just 1 sale, you can pause all of that. Anything that's actually making sales, keep it, because I would say 5, but if you have 12 in there that are generating good sales, don't kill them. Luke says, am I understanding correctly that increasing the daily budget will generate more impressions? If I'm running a small daily budget, 15 per single keyword, exact match campaign, and it's generating sales, would be reasonable daily budget increase. So if you're doing $15, single keyword, exact match campaign, and it's profitable, scale it to $100. Even if you're not hitting the $15, if you scale it to 100, it might start spending 80 and generating more sales profitably. So that's what I would do. Humayan says, let's say we have 5 products. Should we calculate tacos on each product or the account? Definitely on each product. Each product is completely separate, and treat them separate, because you can have 3 amazing products and then 2 horrible ones. And so, what's the point of combining them, right? And most of the time we take over an account, they have 15 ASINs. 3 of them are the superstars generating all of the revenue. And I always say, why do you have these other 12? Why don't you take all of your energy, resources, time, money, put it into another product launch,
Right.
and maybe that one will generate you decent revenue instead of having these deadbeats that are taking a lot of time and energy for no reason. How do you target new outlier keywords in terms of listing and PPC during the launch as well as the maintenance phase, if different from face-to-face? Outlier keywords, I just put them in a campaign and launch them. If I'm not getting traction, then I'll add them in my back end to see if that's gonna generate some traction. But honestly, outlier keywords are outlier keywords. Brandon Young has found like 1 or 2 that make like a crazy amount of sales, but 99% of the time that's not the case. So I wouldn't lose sleep over it. How should you use a broad modifier? Use a broad modifier on all sponsored brand campaigns, definitely, because broad, it was going like too broad. So if you use broad modifiers, it will keep it for by always having those keywords in the search terms. So it'll be able to like kind of switch some of the keywords, but you'll have those keywords as opposed to just completely targeting irrelevant. So definitely use broad modifiers, especially in sponsored brand. And then, can we still rank for a high search volume, can we still rank for high search words if the products are a lot more expensive? Yeah, but in that case, work your way up. So instead of going for the high search volume keywords, start with the lower search volume keywords, and build your way up, because as you get more and more of those low search volume keywords, eventually the high search volume become easier.
Perfect. You did it in 4 minutes. There we go. All right. And I agree with Anna. Tsunami. There we go. If you got time, we can stick around. If not, you can take off and we'll do the Wheel of Kelsey and we'll follow up with you with the winner.
Amazing. I'm going to hop off, but let me know who the winner is and we'll go from there.
You're awesome.
Thank you guys
for coming on. All right. We'll see you later.
Bye.
All right, everybody. We're going to cut to a quick sponsor break, and then we're going to come back with the Wheel of Kelsey. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was awesome.
Yeah, just give me a second. My computer is super slow.
Oh,
so everything you're doing is like taking 5 seconds to do it. So here we go. Sponsor.
I want to give a quick shout out to an incredible group of sponsors to help keep this podcast running. The Lunch with Norm podcast would not be possible without the support of the following sponsors: Post Purchase Pro, Clear Ads, Jeff Schick Law, Rebate.com, Honu Worldwide, Digital Blacksmiths, Netfluence, Extreme Power, and Startup Club. Now back to the show. Wow, this was a great episode, I gotta say. And it was probably the least amount that I ever had to talk. So that's probably why it made it great too. So anyways, let's just cut over to the wheel of Kelsey, shall we?
Okay, just a second. Again, my computer is
I gotta
very
hire good help, better help, or I gotta pay you.
Yeah, just a second. Sorry about this. I'm just gonna.
Jeopardy song. I'll hum it.
All right, here we go. Sorry, this is painful.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
Okay, we got the wheel. Now, is that going to work, Kels?
We'll see.
Oh.
Again, we're just gonna go at a slow pace. I know Marina said she has to listen to this episode at 0.5 speed. Well, for this section, you're gonna have to speed it up 2 times the speed to get to the Wheel of Kelsey. I really apologize for this. I think
you just stand up and spin around.
All right, can you see my screen? Is it
Yep, it's coming.
It's coming.
It's there we go. We see it with a whole bunch of advertisement.
Oh, really? Perfect. Yeah. I don't even see that. So I'm just going.
So if anybody's listening for the first time, this doesn't usually happen. All right, we're spinning the wheel.
Okay, I'm gonna shuffle it up. If this works, and give it a spin.
It really doesn't look like it's spinning.
Well, it's spinning on my side very slowly. And
so you can really rig it this time.
This is for sure a riggable wheel. All right,
okay.
Marina.
Congrats, Marina.
And yeah, I think Norm, you should take it from here, unless you want me to really slow this thing down even more.
No, this is good. I'll take it from here. So Marina, congrats. You haven't won in a little while. So this is a perfect, really awesome giveaway. As you could tell, Mina was awesome today and he knows his stuff. So just, I'm sure Kelsey has your information, but if he doesn't, just send it over to him at k@lunchwithnorm.com and we'll get it over to Mina. All right, everybody. I hope you liked today's episode. We've got a bunch lined up coming. We've got a bunch lined up. We are going away on the Online Sellers Cruise. If any of you are coming, geez, it'll be great. We'll be able to talk and meet up on the ship. I'm also going over to the Mexico trip on the 12th to the 17th. So I'm not sure if anybody's going to that one as well. But if you are, I will see you in Monterey. All right, everybody. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And like I say, every podcast, we have a great community. We could not do this podcast without you. You're awesome. And we will see you on, what is it, today's date? Wednesday. We'll see you on Friday. Want more great information? Don't forget to subscribe by clicking here. Also, if you want to check out our latest podcast, click over here.
Lunch with Norm.